saved the business, and now it flourished again, she explained to Lena. When her niece insisted on taking over what work she could, that did not involve her directly with the purpose of the establishment. Now, every month, Lena counted out the guineas that represented Makepeace's share of the profits. He had been a shadowy figure up to now, but this last bout of sickness had left Madame Deveril too ill to leave her bed, and he had simply walked in and taken over. "Why are you keeping me from my aunt?" Lena demanded. "You have no right." "I have a considerable sum invested here. As Madame is not fit to run the business at present, I've been looking at the books." He waved a hand at the stack of ledgers. "I can see that opportunities are being missed. Avenues of income are not being explored. I intend to take things in hand. There will be changes." It was a threat, not a suggestion. "What changes?" Lena asked. Aunt Clara would be better soon, surely. She could not intend that this man should make decisions. "There are services that are not offered. Highly profitable services." He raised an eyebrow as though daring her to speculate. But Lena had listened while her aunt had explained the business to her in terms that even the most innocent daughter of the vicarage could grasp. The Blue Door sold sex. Luxurious, indulgent sex, accompanied by excellent food, good wine, and choice entertainment. "But I will not have virgins here," Madame had said. "Or children, or girls doing things they aren't willing to. My girls get a fair wage, and I make sure they keep healthy." And the fierce light in her eyes as she spoke had told Lena that these were more than merely house rules. Once, long ago, she realized, someone had forced her aunt to do things against her will, and that had left deep scars. Later she had discovered, to her stunned surprise, that her mother and her aunt had both been courtesans in their youth. At first she was too bewildered for questions. Then, still almost unable to believe it, she had dared to ask. "We fell in love with brothers," Clara had said with a bitter twist to her smile. "And they seduced us and abandoned us here in St. James's, where we had innocently followed them. We were young and lost and heartbroken, and it did not take long for us to be found by a brothel keeper. We grew up fast," she added, seeming to look back down the years. "We saved, we found wealthy friends, and I started my own house that grew eventually into the Blue Door. Your mamma, bless her, never became accustomed. She took over the housekeeping and the books, just as you have." There was so much to come to terms with there. Lena asked only one question. But however did Mamma meet Papa? For surely the fiercely moral Reverend Shelley had never been inside a brothel in his life, except perhaps to harangue the occupants on their evil ways, and the certainty that hell's fires awaited them. She met him in Green Park. Annabel always dressed well, like a lady. He tripped over and sprained his ankle. She stopped to offer him assistance. It was love at first sight. Then he was not the Puritan prig he grew into, Clara said with a sniff. That came later. She never told him what she was, of course. He believed her when she said I was a widow and she was my companion. They married. He took her off into the wilds of Suffolk. They had 3 daughters, and he became, year by year, more rigid, more sanctimonious. And she fell out of love and into a sort of dull misery with him. "I do wonder," her aunt had said thoughtfully, "if your father found out or came to suspect something about your mother's past. We will never know now, although her letters tell of him becoming more and more suspicious and unreasonable. She met Richard Lovett, and they eloped. She wrote to me, confident that your father would let you all come to her. You were only girls, after all. But he refused. Annabel was beside herself. Lovett took her abroad, but she died in Italy 2 years later. I do not think she ever forgave herself for leaving you." Now Lena felt her vision blur, and she wrenched her attention back to the man on the other side of the desk.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.